Hey guys, hey, it's Tuesday, it's October 18th. There were some games last night, Monday. We got to talk about some interesting ones and some not so interesting ones. There's a bunch of games on tap today as well, so that's good. There's actually 8 total today. I think there was 9 total yesterday. We're going to dive into a little bit about the Toronto Maple Leafs again and their troubles, the Ducks and their troubles, Minnesota Wild a little bit, their troubles. So stick around to the end. Don't miss a thing. Hey, okay, here we go. So let's just touch real quick on yesterday's game. We'll go over some scores. I don't ever dive in too deep in stats because that just takes up so much time doing that. So we're gonna dive into Monday's games real quick and just kind of touch on who won and that kind of thing. So we're going to start it off. The Los Angeles Kings took on the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. It went to overtime, and the Kings ended up winning it 5-4. So the Kings are now 2-2. Detroit is now 2-0-1. So they're off to 5 points to start the season. Good for Detroit, right? Pittsburgh, they lost to Montreal. They lost to Montreal 2-3. It was an overtime winner for Montreal that got them the 2 points. Colorado played Minnesota 6-3 over the Wild. So Colorado's now 2-1. Minnesota is 0-3. Yikes. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a sec. Florida 4, the Capitals 6. Another one we're going to talk about. The Vancouver Canucks are now 0-3 to start the season. And the Capitals are 2-2. So just so you know too, Ovechkin had a couple of goals in that game. Let's see, Thatcher Demko, he only made 24 saves on 30 shots. Not good. Darcy Kemper didn't have the greatest of nights either. 30 shots on him as well with 26 saves. Let's see. Florida and Boston went at it at the Garden. Florida lost. It was Boston 5, Florida 3. So Florida's got their first loss of the year. They are now 2-1. Bobrovsky was in net, 29 saves on 33 shots. And Boston is now 3-0. Wow, Boston. Talk about coming out of the gate. Talk about surprising me. And I wasn't really expecting Boston to do super good. Like I said before in previous videos when I talked about division rankings, I had Boston kind of in the middle. Possible playoff, possible missing it for, but they're off to 3-0. They look really good, guys. Boston is definitely off to a good start and looks really good. So Linus Ullmark was in goal for them. He had 38 saves on 41 shots. He got lit up by Florida, but pulled through. So let's see. Jets and Dallas. Dallas is 3-0. They beat the Jets 4-1. So the Jets are now 1-1. Dallas is 3-0. Hey, Ottinger. Dallas looks good. Again, Dallas is one of those teams I had kind of in the middle, maybe in the lower pack. I just feel like they've lost some of their oomph that they've had in the last few years, but they're surprising me. They're out 3-0. Boy, if they continue to play like this, they're going to surprise a lot of people, and specifically me. Wow. But they're off to a great start, so go Dallas Stars. If you're a Dallas fan, you're enjoying things right now. Carolina and Seattle. Seattle at home again. Carolina's on a big road trip on the West Coast, and they beat them 5-1. So Seattle, who had a couple of really good games to start the year, are now showing us that they are still only an expansion team in their second year. And so, again, I had Seattle in 7th spot in the Pacific in my rankings video, which you got to check out. But I had them at 7th. And the reason I have them at 7th is because of this. They brought in goal scorers. They brought in, the ability to put the puck in the net offensively, and they've got decent goaltending if those goaltenders play well and start to get consistent. But not looking so good right now so far. It's early. Everything is early, so you can't jump the gun too much. It's only 3 to 4 games in for most teams, so you can't freak out yet and throw in the towel. But there's a lot to talk about certain teams. And then the Arizona-Toronto game. Arizona, my least favorite team. they're horrible, right? We all know they're not going to be a great team this year. They won. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. Okay, what in the heck? Remember I talked about it last video. Toronto, are you guys in trouble? No. definitely not in trouble offensively. But goaltender for Toronto in that game, Colgren, 15 saves on 18 shots. He only had 18 shots against. He let in 3 of those. He let in 3 of those. One was an empty netter at the end, but that's not so good, guys. Toronto-wise, again, when Matt Murray went down, I knew it. I was like, is Toronto in trouble? Because a lot of question marks with their goaltending in general, just period. Matt Murray has the ability to be a number one and be good, but can he do it for Toronto? That's a market that you have to perform in. Toronto fans, if you're watching, you're not going to put up with that. Okay, you're not going to put up with that, and so we'll see what happens. But Arizona beat them in their house. So one bright spot for the Arizona Coyotes right now is Nick Ritchie, former Duck. Nick Ritchie, he's off to a great start, man. If he can stay consistent in doing that and putting goals in it, I mean, he had a goal and an assist last night. Nick Ritchie looks really good so far this year. He's doing a really good job. So hey, good for Nick Ritchie. Listen, let's jump into today's games real quick, just so everybody kind of knows. There's 8 games. Philadelphia and Tampa are going to go at it. The Vancouver Canucks are back-to-back. They're going at it with the Columbus Blue Jackets today. Boston, let's see if Vancouver can pull that one out, right? It's back-to-back, so it's already a tough game. The second of a back-to-back. Are they going to go 0-4? Wow. We'll see. Boston, another back-to-backer for them. They're going at Ottawa today. The Sharks and the Islanders are going to face off. Vegas and Calgary. That's going to be a good game. If you're going to watch a game today, Vegas and Calgary, there's one to watch. Buffalo and Edmonton are going to go at it. The Kings are on a back-to-back as well. They're going to be in Nashville. And my Ducks are taking on the New Jersey Devils. The Ducks played last night. They're on a back-to-back as well. They take on the Devils tonight. So couple of real quick injury updates, just stuff that I always try to touch on these things. If it's a notable name, I always want you guys to be aware of it. On the Coyote side of thing, Nick Schmaltz. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks for them. That doesn't help them any. He's got an upper body injury, and they've got him pegged for at least a couple of months. And then on the Detroit side of things, Detroit's Tyler Bertuzzi. So Tyler Bertuzzi is out for 4 to 6 weeks with an upper body injury. So both those players have upper body injuries. They're going to be out for a little bit. I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, guys. So I touched on them a little bit in my last video. Quite honestly, goaltending, Matt Murray's injured. He's going to be out for a while, at least a month. And I have a feeling, and in my last video, I didn't get into it as in depth as I would have liked to. So I want to touch on a little bit more today and a couple other teams that are interesting because of the way they're starting and what I'm worried about. But are the Toronto Maple Leafs in trouble? I don't think so per se, but I do think that they are in for a huge challenge moving forward until they can get Matt Murray back and healthy. And again, Matt Murray has to be Matt Murray of old for the Toronto Maple Leafs to be successful and go deep. As of right now, an injured Matt Murray means that, in my opinion, the Toronto Maple Leafs, which they can do, let's not take anything away from the Maple Leafs and their offensive abilities. You've got a guy like Austin Matthews on your team. That's huge. But they're going to have to outscore their opponents because I feel like the puck's going to go in the net a lot more with a Matt Murray that's injured. And even with a healthy Matt Murray, things have to go well and he has to perform, make the saves. The big ones when needed. Teams that win and are successful, their goalie stands on his head when he needs to and makes those big saves when needed. I've watched, being a Ducks fan, I've watched Guy Bear, Jean-Sebastien Giguère, and now John Gibson make some pretty impressive saves. Jonas Hiller for a little while, if anybody remembers Jonas Hiller. Make some crazy saves. Now this goes across the board. All goalies do this, but and that one save turns the momentum of the game. Ducks end up winning, or whatever team you're watching. Big save from your goalie. The next thing you know, the confidence is there. They score a goal. They take the lead. They win the game. Whatever the case may be, goalies make such a huge impact on the course of the game. That big save gets the guys pumped up. Yeah, we can do this. You know what I mean? So, anyways, long story short. Is Toronto in trouble with a Matt Murray that's injured in their current situation? I think they are in trouble in terms of getting into you want to get out of the gate in the NHL early. You want to come out doing pretty well. Get yourself going. Get some points built up. Because it starts to get, as teams start to get comfortable and start to get better as the season progresses, it becomes harder and harder if you're too far behind to make up that ground. We've seen it before. So for Toronto, they're going to do well, but this is going to make it way more challenging for them to get to where they need to get into the playoffs and get deep, get far. Toronto fans, they're passionate folks, and they want a successful team on the ice. And I think for them right now, their X factor, what determines whether or not they make the playoffs and then how deep they go in the playoffs really comes down to goaltending. So Toronto, my heart is with you. I hope things get better for you. This goaltending situation is not going to help you. Some other notable teams that are having issues. Before I get into my team that's having issues, the Minnesota Wild. Defensively, they look like caca, right? Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't look like Marc-Andre Fleury at all. I've talked about this in the last video. Something's got to change in Minnesota if this is going to continue. They're not playing well. They have the ability to put the puck in the net. That's a no-brainer for them right now. But man, keeping it out of their net right now is becoming a huge challenge. So Minnesota, if they don't right the ship, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You watch. Even though it's early, something's going to happen. Because like I said before, if you don't get out of the gate strong and start getting things, producing points and staying in the standings, in a decent stature, forget it once the second half of the season rolls around. So another team that's interesting to watch in the sense that they're not performing well are the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks have a way better team than what we're seeing on their record, which is 0-3. An 0-3 start for a Bruce Boudreau team. A very passionate fan-based team, the Vancouver Canucks. I'm sure they're pissed. And I've seen some things where there's a lot of people, flipping out, Vancouver. And it is a surprising start. They've led in all 3 games. In fact, I read a stat this morning that said Vancouver is the first team in NHL history to have blown multi-goal leads in the first 3 games and ended up losing them. The first NHL team ever. So you never want to be a first in that kind of category, in my opinion. But Vancouver's 0-3. The goals are there, but they almost get complacent or something. I haven't watched the games to see, what's happening or to notice some tendencies on the ice, and maybe the team just stops playing, stops skating. I don't know what it is, okay? But that's not good. Vancouver, their expectations are way higher than that. I know not only from their fans, but from hockey analysts and everybody else in the hockey world. Vancouver's not supposed to be 0-3 and blowing leads like this, like willy-nilly. A Bruce Boudreau coach team typically does very well throughout the regular season, and it's the playoffs where he has trouble. But 0-3 start, not good. They're going to have to right their ship, too, really quickly here before something crazy happens. Because I'm sure the people in Vancouver, the organization itself, the fans, they're not going to put up with this for very long. So Vancouver is one to watch and see what happens, right? We'll see if they can get things turned around. I want to talk about the Ducks, okay? The Anaheim Ducks, my team. This channel is partly based on that. Man, are they looking pretty bad. That first game at home against the Seattle Kraken, they came on strong at the end, ended up winning it in overtime, and that was good. I felt good about that game. It's the first game. They immediately hit the road. Their next 5 games, they've now played 2 on the road. Start off on the East Coast. New York Islanders, they got just beat 7-1. That was embarrassing, people. Outshot, outplayed in every way. They go to the New York Rangers last night. It didn't start very well. They were down 2-0. And I was thinking to myself watching the game going, this is just like the previous game. They're playing like they just don't have any passion or any desire to want to win. That's how it looks when you watch the game. They're not winning the battles. Penalty killing. There is none. They have none. I mean, the New York Rangers We're 3 for 4 on the power play last night. Are you kidding me? I mean, when you're killing penalties, you've got to kill them all. I mean, if you allow one power play goal in one game, that's sometimes the X factor for winning the game for the other team. But they were 3 for 4, New York was. That's horrible penalty killing. They were out hit 27-17 by the New York Rangers. Again, not good. That means New York is out being more aggressive and outplaying them. They're winning the puck battles and they're out hitting them. Not good. Now, Ducks fans know the old Ducks, that would never have happened. Hits were pretty even, or they always favored the Ducks. They were a bigger team, a more aggressive team, and they banged bodies. They made you second guess and look behind your back, you know what I mean, and make that nervous. You know, you could tell because they had players like the Getzlaf of the world, the Deloriers there for a little while, the Ryan Kesslers of the world, and some of their defense back in the day too, where they would come and they would smash you. Manson, he was also one of those guys that he liked to drop the gloves and he would hit you hard. So Manson's one of those players. He's in Denver now. He won the Cup last year and he stayed. I was hoping he'd come back. There was a lot of rumors that he might. I was really hoping he would for that reason. He's a tough guy. He's not a huge goal scorer, but he's a tough guy that will drop the gloves for you and he'll hit you. You know what I mean? So, anyways, they got out hit and they're getting outplayed in every aspect. They have 17 goals against in just the first 3 games of the year. That is absolutely horrid. The Ducks need to turn this around and they need to do it tonight. Shot differential is another one that I can't believe how badly they're getting outshot. It's almost 2-1. I mean, last night, the New York Rangers put up 43 shots on goal. 43, people. That's a ton. Ducks had 22. The previous game, I don't know what it was, but it wasn't that much. It was very low compared to what the Islanders put up on them. So your goalie is never going to be able to stop all those. You're putting up that many shots, they're going to go in. Whether it deflected, off a skate, something crazy happens. If you're shooting the puck and you're getting that many on net, they're going to go in. You're going to win games. It's just how it is. It takes a goalie to stand on his head, and goalies can't do that every single night. Every once in a while, yes, but not every night. So that has to change. They got to limit how many shots they're getting against their goalies, and they got to get more shots when they're in the O-zone. They need to spend more time down in the offensive zone, win those battles, get down there, and shoot the puck. Here's some good takeaways from this game. Ducks had 4 goals on arguably the best goalie in the NHL, up there with Vasilevsky. Okay, Shesterkin won the Vezina, right? This guy is no joke. He is good. We had 22 shots on goal on him, 18 saves, 4 goals on 22 shots. That's good. That means the Ducks capitalized at a high percentage level on when they had their opportunities. So get more opportunities, guys. Get your butts down in the O-zone and start shooting the puck. I don't understand why such a good offensive team, the Ducks I'm talking about, is when they do get their opportunities, they're showing you they can put the puck in the net. So get your butt down there and do it. And stop letting the team... It's amazing to watch. And there's momentum swings. And last night, they ended up tying it 2-2. Zegras tied it, and I was like, okay, here we go. Things are looking good. Let's beat this team. This is a good team to beat. Get our confidence back. What did New York do? They went out and scored 3 unanswered, and it ended up being, now it was 5-2. Now the Ducks didn't roll over. They came back and scored a couple of their own, and final score ended up being 6-2 New York, or 6-4 New York Rangers. So all in all, the game was frustrating to watch because of how bad the Ducks looked defensively and how they're outworked. The opportunities they did get, they looked good. And they capitalized and got 4 goals on 22 shots, which I thought was really impressive on a goalie like Shesterkin. I really did. I was really happy about that. What's frustrating is the defensive side. The penalty killing's horrid. It doesn't even exist. And then too many shots on their own net. Gibson can't do it. They didn't pull Gibson in the middle of the period, but again, second game in a row, they started Anthony Stolarz to start the third. So I guarantee you Gibson's pretty pissed. Maybe at himself a little bit too, but the way things are going in front of him, he's not getting any help whatsoever. You can't blame Gibson for the scores. You just can't. A couple of goals, maybe you can blame him. Maybe he just missed it. But most of the goals getting by him are just from lack of defense, okay, and horrible penalty killing. We got to win the battles. We got to play hard. We got to play like we want to win every night. We got to go out there and work. I want to see that. I'm not seeing that. You see it briefly, and then it goes away. And we get outworked for several minutes. And you can see that the players just getting deflated and getting tired, and then the other team scores. It's ridiculous. So we got to take the play to the other team. We're not doing that right now, and so things have got to change. Here's my thing here. Okay, Dallas Eakins. He was never a good NHL goalie before he became an NHL goalie I'm talking about coach. Sorry, not goalie. He was never a very good NHL coach. He coached the Edmonton Oilers for a little over a season. His record was awful. Edmonton said bye-bye. Okay, this is years ago. He's been really successful in the minors, AHL level and lower, but he's always done really well in the minors, AHL. And great, that's where he belongs, okay? That's where your niche is. Go back there. I think it's time. I know Verbeek, is evaluating Dallas Eakins this year. He gave him a 1-year extension to say, hey, we'll keep you around one more year and see what you can do. It's pretty obvious that he is just not cut out to be an NHL coach, okay? I'm putting it out there. We're 3 games in. I don't give a crap. We're 1-2. We're getting outworked in every way, shape, and form. Wow. It's time for a change. I don't care if we're 3 games in. When he gets back from this road trip, if the Ducks are like really bad, I mean, if they break 500 when they get back, I'll be happy. I have a feeling, though, they're not. And in my opinion, if I'm Pat Verbeek, I've had enough. This team should be doing way better than it's doing. They look like crap out there at times. And it's the majority of the time, not, sometimes it's going to happen. But, man, it's like the majority of the time they just don't look like the Anaheim Ducks of last year's, And we have a better team now. We have a better team on the ice than we did last year, and we're doing worse. Dallas Eakins has got to go, guys. If he doesn't go before the end of the year, he definitely won't be back next year. I guarantee it. Okay, I guarantee it. If they don't get rid of him before this year's up, he's embarrassing. He really is. But the players have to be held accountable a little bit too. They need to play harder. They need to work harder. They need to win the battles, and they need to get down there and start putting the puck on the net. Okay. Hey, look. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, comment below. Hey, if you have anything I say that you don't agree with, you do agree with. I've had lots of people commenting lately. It's great. I love the feedback. I will respond to you. I promise that. And but I need some subscribers. I need you guys. Come on, check out the video. Watch it to the end. Thank you for watching it to the end, by the way. Subscribe, like. Let's keep the channel rolling. As always, go Ducks. See ya. All right, so, hey, listen, I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hold on a second. Okay, now I want to talk about